everybody. Welcome to the Man Alone Solo Role Playing YouTube channel. Today, a little something different. We're talking about Unbroken. This is a look back, a retrospective on 2018's solo game of Survival and Revenge by Artem Safarov. And this is, without a doubt, my favorite solo card game of all time. Is my favorite non-RPG solo game. It was the first card game that showed me that these games were worth my time and worth looking into as well. If you've watched any of my videos on generally what my stance is towards solo games that are not RPGs, one of the things I have always loved about games, why I've always loved role-playing RPG video games, even other media. Like, I love progression, advancement, finding new weapons, new powers, new abilities, new allies, new enemies, all that kind of stuff is just like my favorite part of the adventure, that climb, especially to reaching that. I really enjoy that. And one of the things that I always would think about when I would consider picking up a non-RPG game is that everything that is going to happen is inside this box. Now, I've since opened my mind about this a little bit, but this is sort of, I'm saying my default position here is that there's no new weapon that's going to appear in this box. There's no new enemy. The enemy, even though this is probably one of the best flavor text on every card games, that flavor text is not going to change. You know, the enemy is not going to suddenly change their approach this time and join me or double down, right? So I think there is an appeal in expansions and having the possibility of continuing things. Now, there was an expansion to Unbroken, and unfortunately it is only print and play, which is really, really unfortunate because I've tried to print it out several times. The cards, I'm never able to get just the right size. And also, for some of these things, it doesn't matter because they're not randomized. But for other things, like the encounters, I just am going to know when I'm going through the deck and all of a sudden one of the cards that's next is a flimsy, faded sheet of paper. And so I've been considering there's a few extra blank cards that are packaged in here. And I was thinking either about somehow seamlessly putting those cutouts on those, or maybe just putting the name of the card on there and then referring to that sheet just so that it blends in with the rest of the cards. But in a classic Father of the Bride dilemma, I have six encounter cards that are blank in here, and there's 8 new encounters. So it's like the hot dog people got together with the people from the bun company and just screw over the American people. So my choice is I could buy another box of this just to get 2 blank cards. It's also not worth it in my mind because I know that there will very likely never be an Unbroken Peril Pack 2. This is Unbroken Peril Pack 1. It is available. You can get it through the Kickstarter, and it's $5 for the PDF. And it's pretty good too. A lot of new content. But the reason that there will probably never be another Peril Pack is because if you know anything about Unbroken, well, maybe you know one of two things. Maybe you're just like, oh yeah, that was one of the first solo games that I got. Maybe it was like a gateway game that you said, wow, this is really fun. I wonder if there's any YouTube channels on this. So that's a possibility. For some of you though, this game right here represents a pain in your soul that will, a knot of ache that will never fully untie, because um, this game was the subject of uh, probably one of the most, at least well known and just bananas, like nuts crowdfunding Kickstarter debacles of all time. And there are sagas written about this. I think the best way to show you this without even getting into the details is going to the 2018 Kickstarter page, which is still up. And let me just show you two numbers from there. All right. So number one that I want to show you is that it had 16,531 backers, and it was 598. So that's Canadian dollars. I'm not sure what that is, but it's a lot. So 600,000, and that's one number. And then the second number that I want you to take a look at here is the comments. There's 26,451. What's amazing also about the comments is, now this was the actual crowdfunding started in, like I said, open until July 3rd, 2018, and it was last updated in 2021. And that does happen sometimes, especially, there have been Kickstarter pages I backed a long time ago, and the creator will come on and say, hey, I'm creating an expansion, or even like, hey, I'm making a new game. If you supported this, maybe click here and check this out. But if you look at the comments, the last comment here was 2 days ago. And I mean, this is all public. Like, you could see these comments. I hope I'm not putting any of these people on blast. 2 days ago, scam is still ongoing. And so, presumably, if we are to believe what these comments say, I have no reason not to, but I am being very careful because there is one party involved in this who is very clear in all of their communications that they are in law school, maybe were in law school. This is an ongoing thing, and that is the representatives from Golden Bell Studios, who is quoted as saying, like, he sometimes only philosophically says he's going to sue you, and sometimes he has, like, actually going to sue you, but that he is very open, and there is documented evidence of him, when creators start feeling a certain way about the process, that they have expressed a desire to get out of that contract. And he then will respond with a very strong intention of litigation, which a lot of game designers, you don't usually get into game design because you are tough or rich or come from a family that has a family crest. And so most people, when they're like, whoa, okay, that's fine. And essentially, there are many documented instances of this company, Golden Bell Studios, failing to meet Kickstarter um, deadlines and production deadlines and shipping. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this. It's quite an interesting saga. There is an article that I'll refer to that is really it's worth a read. I'm just going to kind of go over the broad strokes of it, but it is a pretty incredible investigative reporting on this whole thing. And suffice to say, there was an extremely bad bad taste left in a lot of people's mouths because of this whole experience. And one of the things, and this is kind of quaint because now I think we come to expect this, one of the bigger grievances at the time was like, I backed this thing, and now I go to the store, and it was in the store a month before I got my copy. And now that happens all the time now, to the point that, like, if it's a major uh, game production company, unless there's some sort of special thing that they're going to give me that's like Kickstarter only, it's hard to understand why you would pay shipping, pay early, and then get your game later. than everybody else, especially with like how fraught shipping is and everything like that. So we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about the game itself. Um, and what uh, caused me to think of this and want to do this video is because I did um, recently get the newest game by Artem Safarov, which because Artem is usually seen as the unfortunate you know creator in this, who just uh, like made the game and then had to represent and be the public response to all of this stuff that he was either not involved in or very minimally or reluctantly involved in. It a lot of people would say that it was a really unfortunate because this is just a game designer who made a cool game, and uh, it was based on his probably lack of knowledge about how to distribute games that most people who design games have. That when somebody comes along and says, "I'll help you with it," you're like, "Okay." Um, but anyways, he did release this game, Shred of Redemption, which was part of the solo game of the month. And I think it was no mistake that it was titled that. And I did pick that up. If I could do just like a little mini review of this game, just to start the conversation, because I do think that it brings up a few points that I can relate back to Unbroken. And so this is a type of game that I see more and more bag building game. So it's sort of like a chip or token version of a deck building game, right? Where you're trying to compile the best deck possible before your showdown at the end, whatever that showdown will be. And the reason that I backed the game, and it was really quick. I did the solo game of the month. It was pretty cheap. I think it was about $30, and I got it a few months later. It was great. Not a single issue. Um, I got the game because uh, it is about you're basically this old dude who was kind of a piece of crap, and now it's the end of your life, and you're trying to make things right. And so that means that you need to atone for your various sins. And basically, you're going to have a different combination of what those sins are every game, like vanity, wrath, greed, sloth. I think there's another one. Yeah, debauchery. And uh, based on this, and envy. Yeah, based on whatever sort of spread of these you get, you're essentially trying to align your redemptive acts with to atone specifically for those sins by the last phase of the game, which I think there's one phase that's the redemption phase and the reckoning, right? Before the reckoning, presumably before you meet your maker. So design wise, everything minus one thing is really good. The cards are really good. The tokens are really nice. The It is very rare that I see the use of this sort of like old English type that, for the most part, works. It is a little confusing for me, and it's because I am colorblind, so I had to really focus on the icons, and I'm able to see the difference in tones, but um, the each of the redemptive acts is related to a sin, I guess, and those can get a little bit confusing at first, especially because there are two of them that are very similar. And so diligence is sort of the way to atone for sloth, and to me, that looks very much like wrath, even though it's facing the other direction, just like kind of very close like that, and just little stuff like that. But I'm not a fair test group for that, given that I have to occasionally use my color checker app to make sure that I am have the right colors matched up. And then each token that you have out before you, you can use them to trigger a sort of what are they called? Like you could use these tokens to swap your dice. There's tons and tons of dice that come, I think, 24 that you're basically trying to line up on the right cards by the end of the game. And so you're rolling the dice, you can switch them, you can swap them, you can re-roll them based on the abilities that these different things give you. So yeah, other than some of the symbols just being a little bit small, not terrible, definitely not the worst it's been in games even I played in the last week. There are some games that are like, I was like, this is unreal. I can't see this with a microscope. Um, just a little nitpick. The bag was a mistake. This bag does not fit these tokens. And if it was for the dice, it would be perfect. But given that you're compiling these tokens, now it's not going to be all of the tokens, but even this is like a little over half of them. They have to be randomized, but you also have to stack them during play. And so you're trying to mix them up, but tokens, like when they're stacked on top of each other like this, they're not just going to like flop all over the place. They're just going to shake up and down in the same thing. So it's like super impossible in this tiny bag to get them to move at all. And then when you go in, there's no, like, it's, I don't understand how this was the choice for the bag. But if you have an extra bag lying around, I'm sure it's not that big of a deal. So that's the mechanics of the game. What I will say is that I think it was a good game as far as what it was, but I was disappointed. Not in it's a disappointment that is my own. It is not a disappointment in the game itself. It is not or the quality of the game. It's not a disappointment in the rules of the game. It's a disappointment in that the the best parts of Unbroken were the fact that even though you're just playing this card game, there was so much invested in uh, the flavor. Who are the characters? What are their motivations? You pick up a sword. There'd be like a description of the sword. Um, and we're dealing now with something that I don't know if this was intentional, but for me, it sort of picked up on the same momentum or ideas of Darkest Dungeon, where you have like Wayne June, you remember our venerable house, right? And I really love that. And yet there's nothing other than the words redemption and like even here you can build schools, so that's cool, and that helps you to make up for, um, I guess it would be greed, right? That's interesting, um, but I guess we can say that the images are really cool and evocative, but um, that's it. There's no and and like I said, this disappoints my own because I think if I would have better understood the description of the game, because I'm not that familiar with like deck building, bag building games. I'm just kind of learning about them. Maybe I would have understood it better, but like there's no upgrades, there's no um, branching paths, there's no legacy elements. I guess you could play at a higher difficulty where you add more regret tokens. And um, at the end of the day, that's like if I were to say that that is the designer's fault or that they did something wrong, that would be about as dumb as me sitting here like saying, I just played this game Checkers. I don't know who any of the chips are. None of them have any branching paths. There's not enough reactivity with my character. Like, that's not what that game is. And in the same way, this is not that game. This is functionally like a game that is a mechanical game. We don't know who our character is. We don't have any ability to really make choices other than choices about like the chips and the dice and stuff like that. And so for me, this game is honestly, and I, I don't mean this any other way, but like exactly what I'm saying. To me, this game is like Uno with cool pictures or something. It has nothing to do with the rules of Uno or anything, but I'm just saying Uno is a game that is mechanical. It's chance. It's based on choices, based on limited outcomes, taking risks at times, trying to make smart moves and stuff like that, which is a fun type of game that people like to play. But what I was disappointed about was that I thought, given that this is where we came from, I was certain that to put, if Uno had a box that instead of Uno, it was called like Uno underestimate no operative, the story of one Marine's escape from brutal circumstances, and it used the Uno mechanics. I think that actually sounds awesome, but I just thought that it would be more of something that had any role playing aspect to it, and it's just a mechanical game. And I do feel um, like it was a missed opportunity since there was so much. I perceive there to be so much goodwill towards Artem based on this experience that he was caught in the middle of. Um, and it does have a 7.2, I think, rating on Board Game Geek, so mostly people enjoyed it. But it just seemed to have this perfect premise here for us to say like, okay, you want to build schools, so now we have like a school right on our character sheet. We have a school, and now we just got some more money we can invest in that school, build that up. All right, now we got a key to the city. Oh, but now here's an opportunity to do something good, but you also have to like make a deal with one of your old. You see what I'm saying? That's my vision of what this game was, and it is completely fair to say, well, go make that game. uh yeah, that's not the kind of, I'm not trying to levy that kind of critique here to say he did anything wrong. It's just different than I expected. But I still had fun when I played through it. So, anyways, that's Shred of Redemption. If you were considering that, 7.2 out of every 10 people seem to say it's good. Okay, now Unbroken. So this is my best attempt to give the main beats of the timeline with this game, but just so that you don't have to suffer through simply listening to me narrate and shift my hands, I'll set up the game so you at least have some visual stimulation to wonder about as we talk. Look at this nice big bag they give you here. So, yeah, this is my resource tracker, my time and monster and HP tracker. These are the 4 levels. Let me try to adjust. I guess no matter what, a little bit not perfect. So yeah, this is like your score pad that you track, the dice you roll for encounters, tons of encounters, skills, conditions. This is like an achievements card, which gives you different replayability incentives. Different heroes. There is like both uh, like hunter and huntress, but really they're the same. They do have different names and backstories, but their starting attributes and everything are pretty much the same. You also start with bare hands. There was some sort of shipwreck. You survived. You're trying to get out. And then actions guide, quick start guides with these really cool things where you could track both phases, which is travel and combat. and the instruction booklet. Okay, so this game was, like I said, it was kickstarted in 2018, and there was enthusiastic support for it. Um, it was made by Artem and Altima Games, and my understanding, which may not be correct, is that at some point Golden Bell Studios stepped in and offered to help with distribution and stuff like that. Printing, I guess. I think probably art, because part of the game box here says that the illustrations are by Rachel Corson, and I believe that Rachel, and then it's well, that's interesting. It says illustrations Rachel Corson, written by Mark Goldner and Robert Gross, who are those three are Golden Bell Studios. Um, so I'm not, and then a musical score that actually plays a part in this, believe it or not. So yeah, I'm not certain. Maybe the rules reference guide or what. It was Artem who created the game, so I'm not sure how that works out. But essentially, there was a, a lot of enthusiasm. Obviously, if you're raising 598,000 Canadian dollars, which let's look that up, it's about 430,000 US dollars, and that's in 2018. And so I don't know why I'm saying that. It's not like it was in 1923. I don't know how much I have to adjust for inflation, but there was a lot of enthusiasm. Okay. And at some point in the process, there were deadlines missed. And at first, it was kind of what you'd expect, like trying our best. There's some shipping cost stuff, etc. And then things kept getting delayed. And at a certain point, there was a message posted by Artem saying, uh, basically, the shipping costs that we projected have radically changed, and we are like we're we're in the red, or in so many words. And so they asked for if anyone would like to optionally pay for their shipping, like the difference. That's an option. It doesn't affect your product, like your delivery, but just so that to like help us break even. And some people were pretty supportive of this, and mainly because the promise was like, you will only be asked to contribute to this after your product is in hand, um, which was not the case in many instances. And there was one fateful moment, really, that is, I guess, if you could narrow it down to like the biggest misstep in this campaign, is that there was this realization by Golden Bell, or I guess a choice made based on what I think was, they stated, advice that they got that turned out to not be true, which is that as long as you have some media that you are shipping along with something that is not media mail, you can use media mail shipping rates. And I think one of the articles I read on this cited that something sent through other kinds of USPS mail, non-media mail, would be like $18 to $3 and change if it's media mail. And so because of that, and that is probably why it says written by and everything about the instructions, and why there's a soundtrack that it came with, is because they were like, hey, we're shipping here a booklet and a musical score, and oh yeah, there's a board game in there, which is not allowed in media mail rules, but that's just also in there with this very clear media mail. And like I said, this advice was not true. And this article that I want to direct you to again is a lot better than um, what I am saying here. Has a good quote on this. So yeah, this is from Kimberly From, Senior Public Relations Representative. This is from the Tabletop Tribune. Media mail is generally used to send books. Explained from board games do not qualify as media mail. The Postal Service can't comment, etc. However, on occasions, customers misuse media mail. And so, yeah, it would cost like local $8.25, zone 9, $22.30, but mailed at media mail would be $3.33. And so, what happened was when they sent it out, not only did lots of the things not get shipped, but then also some post offices like just straight up refused it. And then some, it because it was seen as inappropriately using the media mail, did whatever with it, like pulled it out of circulation to whatever they did, or returned it or whatever. And so this was the big, like, like Hail Mary intervention here that was going to get this thing back on track. And this is what happened, which at this point, all of the kind of goodwill, Kickstarter goodwill, pseudo or otherwise, that you see, it really evaporated, and there began this quite hostile relationship, where Golden Bell Studios allegedly has also done this on several other projects, not met these deadlines, overpromised, underdelivered, and it was catastrophic, especially as at about here or soon after, this game started showing up on shelves in game stores. And I mean, you can imagine just so long after you backed something, you can't get it. They're asking you to give more money for shipping, and then you see it for $39 on a shelf, and it's right there, and you can't have it. Or I mean, wait, you can have it, but then you'd have to pay for it again. Sorry. And so yeah, this is basically there's a lot on here about the back and forth that was happening on Kickstarter, which is probably not a good look. And I invite you to go through the comments and take a look at that for yourself. It's pretty remarkable. The end result of this is that, especially I think in Asia, there were people who 2 years later or never got their game. And so, according to this article, Golden Bell is like banned from Kickstarter. I don't know if that's true or if that's still happening, but that definitely is warranted for this sort of behavior. But a good time to give a actually small edit is that it looks like I miscounted the amount of condition cards that were in that set, and there are several new characters, enemies. Both of those I could probably put on the blank cards because it doesn't really matter. The only thing we'll have to figure out is the skill and encounter cards, and I do think that I'll try to like glue them on there to see what sort of like form factor profile they have, if I can shuffle them in without there being much of a difference, but I don't think there will be. So I could just write on there whatever it is so that I can still put the blank card in there and randomize it and then just draw whatever it is. Anyways, it'd be kind of cool to try a new character type since I've played through all the ones that are available. And the ones that are available are, like, from the core, is a sneak, sort of a thief or rogue, sage, hunter, huntress, and brawler, brawless. And each of them have slightly different actions. Which, by the way, there's this actions guide, and it's like the cost of everything. And there was another one in that upgrade set, and I was like, oh, they must have just like used that to take up a spot because there were only 7 characters. But actually, as I read, they changed the price of scouting here. That used to be that, which never made sense to me. That was like the price for scouting on level 2. So they actually made it more realistic, or I guess like in line with things. So we'll use the new actions guide too, and we'll see if we want to use the brigand, the veteran. These are all the characters. The acolyte, the charlatan. I love that. Um, the marauder and the vagabond. I think that's. Is there anything else? Minstrel. That one. Talk about a character archetype I have no interest in. Okay, let's see how that works. All right, so the monster cards work pretty good. Unfortunately, there were 8 new monsters and only 4 extra cards, and they have the 1, 2, 3, or 4 at the back. But that's okay. We can try these out, and then like I guess in the future when I pull them, I can just switch the monster on them. And then the characters, there was only 1 blank character card, but there was a weapon, an advanced weapon blank card, which is the same size. And there weren't any new weapons in the kit as far as I can see. But so I was able to put 6 of them on the front and back. There was another one, what was it, the Vagabond, but for whatever reason, it like I cut it in half, so it must have been out of alignment with the other ones. The skill and condition cards, I absolutely it would have been totally noticeable. Like, first of all, there would have been like glue sticking, and then they were just it would not have been seamless. So there were only 2 extra skill cards, but there's 6 extra skills. And so we just say like I numbered them, and if either of these come up, I will count this as whatever. I'll roll a d6, and then just 1 to 2 is 1, 3 to 4 is 2, etc., and pull one of those cards. And for the conditions, there were 2 extra conditions, and so I was able to do the same thing for that, like write up the conditions, and then when I pull these, I will just use the sheet of paper to see what starving and charmed does. All right, so let's try to see if we can get a little closer. So first of all, the quick start card that tells you how to set up the game. If you just look at this quick start guide, it can feel pretty overwhelming. I mean, just like don't even read it, just look at it from there. It's like, whoa. Um, I think that even if you are somebody who has a hard time learning games, and I am a person that has a hard time learning games, you will be amazed at how quickly you can pick this game up. And on the other side of that quick start guide is the travel and combat phase. Travel and combat phases quick reference. And it will actually tell you at which point to like cross over to the other card. Essentially, the game has the travel phase where you're going to have encounters, and then there will be certain choices, this or that type of choices that happen each time. All right. And if you look at your resources here, you have, you start the game with, what is it, 13 small effort, no medium effort, no large effort, none of the resources, cunning, food, metal, treasure, time, or wood. These are the monster traits. And Altima is one of the game design company. You can use this to sort of track your place here on these cards. And you start with bare hands. Now you can see that even from this sheet right here, you could start to get the general principle of the game, which is that the smallest unit of effort is also a currency. Small effort you can trade in using, what is it, focus, 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that will give you 1 medium effort. And if you have 2 medium effort, you could trade those in for 1 big effort. And the whole thing is that you will get stuck in situations where you can always use a bigger effort to do something that requires a smaller effort, but that's quite a sacrifice. Because if you think about it, say that I had something that required 1 small effort. In order to get this, say I only had 1 large effort, that's all I had, and all I needed was this, you can't deconvert it. So what you have just paid for the cost of 1 small effort, since getting a large effort would take 2 medium efforts, and each of those medium efforts cost 4 small efforts, you've basically paid 8 efforts to do 1 thing. And so you don't want to get yourself in those situations, but you will. But the idea is that you want to try and maximize the like accurate and efficient usage of resources, and then at targeted times trade in those resources for different things, um, because you don't want to do it too early to leave yourself vulnerable, and you don't want to do it too late because most actions in the game will cost you time. Okay. And as your time goes down, you can choose to fight the monster of that level 1, 2, 3, 4 at any time. But if you pull an encounter card that puts your time to 0, then you have no choice. You're ambushed by that monster. And for instance, if you're ambushed by the harpy, right away, you lose 3 small effort to begin that fight. You can also bribe the monster. But again, if you do that, you're making a choice because then you don't get any rewards. And without rewards, you can't, for instance, get new skills like the spike thrower skill. And look at that on the top, just like how much amazing flavor on every little card. No reason we had to put that on a skill card, but this allows you to um, make different combat actions and stuff like that. And essentially, it's like um, everything that you get is either going to allow you to use new permutations of um, your efforts, or it's going to decrease the exchange rates of effort. And occasionally, on each level, you get 1 point equal to the level. So, like on level 1, I get 1, and I can spend 1 of those to use 1 of these special behaviors or actions. Like the Marauder here has Cold Dead Hands. So if an enemy hit me and it inflicted a condition of steal, disarm, or drain, I can spend that, and it would negate that. And I would have none of these left for the level unless there was something that gave it back. But then on the start of level 2, I would give myself 2 of these points. That is pretty much it. The idea is to get through through the level 4 boss without dying. And it seems like, as in all good games, and I don't know why this is because it's not a natural instinct for me in game design. I always want to separate out like HP and action points. But you die when you have like no effort to spend. And a lot of times, for whatever reason, that sneaks up on you because you have a really tough boss fight. You make it by the hair of your chinny chin chin, and you're like, awesome. Now you have to eat some food at the end of every level. And if you don't have any food to eat, then you lose health, and you have to eat food. I believe it's equal to the level at the end of every level, including the 4th level. And I cannot tell you how many times BB and I lost because we beat the last boss and had no food and had no life. Well, we have no life either way. So when an enemy attacks. Well, first of all, when we choose the enemy, normally you'd roll this d6 to see, based on your level, which of these enemies you're going to face because they have 1 through 6 on the bottom. What's interesting, besides the fact that when I was like, oh, actually, I have the perfect amount of skill cards, I forgot that there's this whole other sheet of skill cards. So I'll figure out a way to incorporate those at some point in a later playthrough. But the interesting thing is that in the contents of this, I guess this was like at a point where they thought they were going to make a physical copy of this. It says that it includes an 8-sided die. So there must have been a concept for an 8-sided die like this. So for that, we could just use one of these beautiful um, dice nest 8-sided dice to roll that instead. And that way, you look at the number at the bottom of the card. That way, I'd be able to pull in the enemy cards that I didn't have like a card for, so to speak, because those are 7 and 8, and so I can go here for the different levels and incorporate those monsters that I wasn't able to put on an official card back here. But I have those right now just on top of all of those just to signify where the different levels cut off. So when I look at my quick start guide, pretty much everything is going to be at 0 other than a 13 on the small effort bar, 0 on the others, 0 on the resources. We have bare hands for weapon that we can upgrade to the club, but we need wood, a small effort, and 1 time, or we can upgrade it to a knife. Each of those has some different benefits. And we also put the time tracker on 7 because that is level 1. And you can always see where to start the time tracker because it actually has like slash marks instead of the number for what level. So like level 2, you could see we start on 12, and then level 3 on, what is that, 16, and level 4 would be 19. So yeah, let's just try it. So with the, oh, I have the Marauder, which I told you about, Cold Dead Hands. Also, I could use Disturb the Bones after revealing the cards during the exploration step. I can replace any number of revealed cards with random cards from the encountered discard pile. Then I roll a d8. If the result is less than the number of cards replaced, I lose 1 time. So basically, I could pick up 7 cards, but to choose one from. But if I don't roll then an 8, then I lose a time. And I can also dig up the past, which allows me to turn treasure, or what is that, metal, into cleverness, cunning, or time, which is really cool, not only because it's a good exchange, but also because treasure, which is signified by this chalice, is a pretty, in the base game, is a pretty inert resource, which is fine. It's supposed to be, because it's supposed to be like your score, and so you'd only like trade up to treasure if you wanted to try and achieve a higher score or something. But it's nice to see that the other uh, additions of the different types of character types allow us to use that. So in a normal travel step, you're just going to draw 2 cards and you're going to choose which one you want to do. So the first thing is we look at how much time both of them cost. Now, this is level 1. I don't have a lot of time. I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm going to get ambushed. And so this one only costs 1 time, and whereas this one costs 2. Now, I don't have enough really uh, uh, to spend any what is this, medium effort. Let me make sure. Mm. No, that's actually large effort. Sorry, I thought it was a different color. Um, and so in order to get that, I would have to spend so much of my small effort, which would be nice because this only costs 1 time, and in exchange for that, I get a medium effort, some food, and I get 2 small efforts, which would be maybe a nice exchange. A large effort is pretty valuable, so I'm not going to do that. And then here, I could spend 2 time and a cunning to get some wood, which would be really nice to do that, except I have no cunning. So what do you do in a situation like this? Well, you choose one of them, and you look at the time on it, and this is always the default thing. And I can discard these here. Is I use that time, and you can always take one small effort. Like as default, you just choose a card and use the time on that. So I put my time down to 6, put my small effort up to 14, and we can do as many of these as we need to. So here we could spend 2 time, and once again, this is pretty bad because this is once again asking me for the same things: a trap shrine or mumbling kobold, and again we would have to spend 2 time and use large effort, which we are not going to do. And unfortunately, this time I'm going to have to lose 2 time no matter what. And I'm really not going to be able to get anything because I'm not really willing to spend that much, but I might be soon because I gained another small effort. So it might get to the point of, if I keep pulling cards like this, that I might trade in and get a larger effort. Yeah, okay. So this one is 0 time, but I'd have to spend treasure. Now this is nice though because here I don't have treasure to spend on either of these, and I did shuffle these quite a bit, so this is interesting. And by the way, if you do buy this game, don't shuffle the encounter cards because they are placed in an order for the first playthrough that like tells you the story of what's going on. But this is pretty common, and if I wasn't explaining all of these as you like get through the game, you start doing this automatically. So here I would choose this one. It requires 0 time, which is nice because that just means I get a small effort for no time paid. All right. Now we can spend 5 time, pay nothing, and get 2 cunning. Or here we could get a medium effort and gain 2 cunning for only 2 time. 5 time would put me at ambush. I'm not going to do that. 2 time is one too many, but I will still take it. And I will also spend a medium effort, which like you don't have to do this every time, but it would be, we would look here to get a medium effort. I need 4 small effort, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that would give this here, and then I would just spend it again, and I'm going to get 1, 2 cunning. Now, as I look, I go, well, what can I get for cunning? Nothing yet, but maybe we'll have an encounter at some point that will help us to do to put that cunning to use. But for right now, nothing is really jumping out at me. If I get another encounter here that's kind of rotten, I could spend 1 time and gain wood. I will definitely do that. Or I could spend 2 time and gain 3 small efforts. I don't want to do that. That would put me in ambush. I'll put myself down to 1, and then I gain a wood. And let's see. So I would need 3 wood. Not my favorite weapon to get the club. I don't have any metal yet. Hopefully we get some metal here. Now, I'm probably going to use Disturb the Bones just because I have 1 time left, and I really need to get another encounter in without getting ambushed. So I'm going to reveal the cards. Well, why don't we? You don't have to use that until you reveal the cards. Maybe we get something great. So either one of these is going to put me in an ambush. All right. This one would, for 1 time, I would reveal 3 additional encounter cards next exploration, which is really cool. 2 time, I would spend medium effort and gain 3 wood. Now, I almost want to do that because I would, it would put me in an ambush, but I can do a general action anytime. And so I almost feel like I want to do that, but then we have another problem, which is that I'd have to spend 4 actions, 1, 2, 3, 4, to buy one of these to spend, and I would get 3 wood, and then I would be able to make a club, but I have no time left. And so really, that's not a good choice. That feels like a good choice, but that's not a good choice because I wouldn't have the follow-up action to do to make it useful. This one would ambush. I don't need to reveal 3 additional cards, so I am going to use Disturb the Bones. And now I'm wagering. because I'm going to roll a d8 at the end, and in order for me not to spend a time right away here, I need to roll the d8, and the result has to be less than the amount of cards that I get. If the result is less than the number of cards in place, I lose time. So the more cards I draw, the bigger chance there's going to be something less than. So I'm going to decide one at a time. This one I have to spend one time. I get 3 additional exploration. Aha. So this would be 2, and I get a knife. And I would be able to make the knife, but I don't have any time left. So I'll try 3. Okay, I'm looking for one where I spend no time. That's interesting. This one I spend large effort and get small effort and 2 knives. I think we'll go for 7 because who cares? Okay. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much like the worst possible thing that could have happened here. And I got to roll the d8 now, and only an 8 will stop me from. Yep, and I got a 1. All right. So I lost time anyways though, so it was a good moment for that. And really I did that wrong actually. Dang. All right. So it's fine because it didn't lead to anything productive, but in fact, um it would have had to be from my discard pile. So I wouldn't have actually been able to pull off the top. I would have only been able to draw cards from my discard pile, which I don't even know if I have that many of these, but it doesn't matter because I am not going to be able to do anything with any of those. And so we're now going to engage in combat. So because it's level 1, I'm going to roll a d8, and I got a 4. And that means and yeah, I apologize. I've obviously never used this enemy before, so I forgot that it was from the discard pile that we draw from. And so enemy 4 would be the Kobold Crafter. All right, and this has 3 wounds. For ambush, the kobold ignores your first attack, and I can give it a piece of wood to trick it and bypass it, or a knife. But then I would receive no rewards, and I really want these rewards because I get cunning, I get a knife, I get 2 small effort, and I get a skill. All right, and so because we are ambushed, my first attack is basically ignored. I don't know if there's any meaning for me to do my first attack. But we'll set here. Let's see. Kobold has 3 wounds, no armor. Um, So I would look combat phase. Ambush step. Reveal the monster. Oh, that's right. We always reset time, so it'll be at level 2. And then the ambush effect, we applied that. You and the monster take turns in combat, make attacks, and take actions. We could trick the monster by paying the trickery cost. We won't do that. So yeah, I guess that on your turn in battle, you may either take a general action or combat action available to you. You always go first, unless on hard mode. And the monster's turn, roll and match the dice roll result with the combat action. Oh, right. I'm just trying to see right here, just because I haven't played in a while, if I have to do an attack, like if there's any purpose for me to like do an attack right now, but there's really not. So what we do is we roll a d6, and 1, which is great, no effect. So basically it swung and missed. So now it's my first turn. And here, because I'm just fighting, if I wanted to really swing for the fences, I could hit, I'd have to do 2 medium, and I would hit for 3. I am actually going to do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I would use 2 medium. I'd spend that. I'd hit him, and then I'm done. And I would take this, and I would look at the rewards, and I get 1 cunning, 1 metal, 2 small effort, and I get a skill. And for the skills here, I guess I could just pull off the top. Defensive stance. After choosing a wounding attack, reduce the attack power by 1 wound to apply -2 to the monster's next combat roll. So basically, if I were to hit the kobold for 3 on this turn, I would say, well, instead I'm going to hit it for 2, but then next time it tries to attack me, it has -2. So kind of interesting. And I would just keep that somewhere around here, probably over here. And the first thing I would do when I got to the next floor is I would definitely get a new weapon, just because I'm more prepared. Not in a bad position, but it would probably be likely. This was not a great start, which is always what I'm trying to demonstrate games. I always come bad start. But with a knife, we have some better options. And you can see right here, like with the knife, if I spend a small effort and cunning, I'm able to take off 1 armor, which is really good, because the only way that I would have been able to take off armor if I had an armored foe is that I have to spend a large effort, which would have cost big. So that is Unbroken, and I think that this game is something that not only is it enjoyable, but if you're looking to if you've played any sort of game, any sort of like rogue dungeon crawling type games, and you feel like you just don't get it, or it's not natural, or that you're following directions so often that you're never able to really like immerse yourself in the game. This is a game that I hope I've done a good enough job to show you like what the loop of play looks like. And as you go through it more and more, it's just so smooth. It's so smooth. As far as the Kickstarter and everything is super unfortunate. Really for everyone involved. I feel worse for the people that paid and had to wait for that. But again, this is what we're doing when we're crowdfunding. And that's not me saying like, well, that's what you get. You should have read the fine print. I'm saying this is something where we should not be bashful about applying pressure to these companies, because we take on all of the risk. And you know what is interesting here is I'm glad that if there was anybody who was banned or prevented from starting campaigns or whatever happened, that's good. But like at a certain point, we got to ask, how is it not? How can Kickstarter take more responsibility in that whole situation? How could they have stepped in? Because I think this is the usual thing. It's sort of the middle age of any of these online companies, is just being like, well, hey, look, it's, we're just providing the venue. I mean, what do you want me to do about it? And it's like, well, you are providing the venue and you're making a lot of money. So I think that I hope it's easier now, if you're interested, to get a copy of this in your hands. It is a game that not only is enjoyable, but I think you're gonna, even if you've struggled with these games, this is a game that make you feel confident and let you know what it feels like to enjoy a game and be in the swing of it. Thanks everybody for coming, and I'll just miss you while you're gone. Let's try it again.